My name is Victoria Ashford, and for 37 years, I thought I knew my family. I thought I knew my brother. I thought I understood loyalty. I thought there were lines that even greed couldn't cross. I was wrong about all three. What I'm about to tell you is the story of how my brother embezzled over $400,000 from our family business, and then tried to destroy my reputation to save himself. It's the story of how the people closest to you can become your greatest threat, and it's the story of how I learned to fight back. This is my story. My family built something remarkable. My father, Robert Ashford, started Ashford and Associates in 1987 with nothing but an idea and a dream. It's an architectural and design consulting firm, the kind of business that plans corporate headquarters, redesigns retail spaces, and helps municipalities reimagine their downtown areas. It's not glamorous, but it's solid. It's respectable. And by the time I came into the picture, it was successful. I'm the youngest of 3 children. My older brother Marcus is 42. My middle sister Jennifer is 40. I'm 37. We grew up in Chicago in a comfortable home on the North Shore. We had everything we needed. Good schools, family vacations, the kind of childhood that felt privileged without being ostentatious. My father didn't just build a business. He built a legacy that he wanted his children to be part of. That was important to him. Family business. That phrase meant something in our house. It meant continuity. It meant trust. It meant that we were building something together that would outlast all of us. Marcus joined the firm first. He was the golden child, honestly. Smart, charismatic, good with clients. He started as an associate right out of college and worked his way up. By the time I came on board, Marcus was a senior partner. He'd brought in major clients. He had relationships. He was the face of the firm in a lot of ways. I took a different path initially. I went to law school. I wanted to be a corporate attorney. I worked for a firm downtown for about 8 years. I was good at it. I made decent money. I had independence. But I missed being close to my family. And more than that, I missed the idea of building something meaningful with people I loved. When I was 32, my father had a stroke. Not a massive one, but significant enough that he couldn't work full-time anymore. He needed to step back. And that's when my family asked me to come home. "We need you," my father said to me in the hospital. "Marcus needs you. We're losing clients without someone managing the legal side of things. And I need to know the firm will be okay. I need to know you'll help protect it." How do you say no to that? So I left my law firm. I joined Ashford and Associates as general counsel and a partner, and I threw myself into the work. That was 5 years ago. The firm was thriving when I arrived. We had steady revenue, strong client relationships, and a good team. Marcus was running the day-to-day operations. Jennifer, my middle sister, worked in the marketing and business development side. My father was semi-retired but still came in 2 days a week. And then there was me, the legal protection, the compliance officer, the one who made sure we were doing everything right. We were a team, a real family team. Or so I thought. My relationship with Marcus had always been complicated. He was the older brother, the golden child, the one who came first. Growing up, he was the one who got the attention, the accolades, the opportunities. By the time I was old enough to achieve things, people were comparing me to him or asking when I was going to measure up. But I didn't resent him for it, not really. We had a decent relationship. We'd grab lunch occasionally. We'd talk about the business. We'd discuss strategy. He'd ask my legal advice on contracts. I respected his work ethic. I thought he respected mine. I think now that I mistook the absence of conflict for actual closeness. We didn't fight, so I assumed we were close. We didn't have tension, so I assumed we trusted each other. But trust is active. It's not just the absence of betrayal. It's the presence of honesty and integrity. And I was about to learn that, Marcus, and I didn't actually have that. 3 years ago, something started feeling off. It was subtle at first. The kind of thing you notice in your peripheral vision, but don't quite focus on until it becomes impossible to ignore. I was reviewing quarterly financial reports one afternoon. Standard procedure. I pull the reports, I review them for any legal implications, I check for compliance issues, and then I file them. It's routine. I've done it probably 50 times since I joined the firm. This particular quarter, something caught my eye, an expense category that seemed high. Consulting services external. I looked at the amount. $47,000 for consulting services. That seemed unusual. We didn't typically hire outside consultants. We had the expertise in-house. I asked Marcus about it casually. I emailed him. Hey, can you clarify what the $47K in external consulting was for this quarter? Just need it for the records. His response came back quickly. Just some specialized market research on emerging design trends. Nothing significant. Don't worry about it. That was the first red flag I should have paid attention to, the dismissiveness, the don't worry about it. But I let it go. I trusted him. I trusted that he was being straightforward with me. Over the next few quarters, I noticed more of these expenses. Consulting services, sometimes $30,000, sometimes $50,000, sometimes as much as $60,000 in a single quarter. When I asked about them, Marcus gave me vague answers. Research, industry analysis, client development, nothing specific, nothing I could verify. I should have pushed harder, but here's the thing about working with family, you want to assume the best. You want to trust. You don't want to be that person who questions everything. You don't want to create tension over money, so I let it continue. By the end of year one with these expenses, we'd paid approximately $180,000 in consulting fees that I couldn't actually document or understand. Around the same time, I noticed something else. Marcus's lifestyle was changing. He drove a new car, a Mercedes. He and his wife took an expensive vacation to Cabo. He was wearing nicer clothes. He bought a boat. A boat, Victoria. Who buys a boat when the economy is uncertain and businesses are being cautious? I mentioned it to Jennifer once, casually. Marcus seems to be doing really well. Jennifer nodded. Yeah, he said he got a bonus from the firm. Dad approved it, said it was for bringing in the Harrison account. I didn't remember authorizing any bonus like that. As general counsel, I typically review any significant financial outlays, but I asked my father about it anyway. Did you authorize a bonus for Marcus? I asked him. My father looked confused. No, I don't think so. Why? He mentioned getting one for the Harrison account. My father frowned. Jennifer handles the bonuses usually. Let me check with her. When my father asked Jennifer, she said she didn't authorize any bonus either. She thought maybe my father had approved it. Nobody had approved it. Marcus had simply paid himself a bonus without authorization. When confronted about it, he said he'd cleared it with my father, but my father had no record of it. When pressed, Marcus got angry. He said we were questioning his integrity, that he'd worked hard and deserved to be compensated fairly, and that if we didn't trust him, maybe he shouldn't be working there at all. That threat, the threat to leave, it shut down the conversation. My father didn't want conflict. My father wanted to keep the peace, so we let it go. But I didn't forget about it. 2 years ago, I made a decision that changed everything. I hired an outside accountant to do a comprehensive audit of the firm's finances. Not because I had definitive proof that something was wrong, but because something felt wrong. And I've learned in my life that you should trust your instincts. The accountant I hired was a woman named Patricia Chen. She specialized in forensic accounting and fraud investigation. I met with her privately, away from the office, and I told her what I'd observed. The unexplained consulting expenses, the unauthorized bonus, the pattern of vagueness when I asked questions. I don't want to accuse my brother of anything, I told her, But I need to know if there's a problem. I need to protect the firm, and I need to protect my family." Patricia nodded. "I'll do a thorough audit. I'll trace every expense. I'll look at every account, and I'll give you a complete picture of what's happening with your money." It took Patricia 6 weeks to conduct the audit. During those 6 weeks, I went to work every day and acted normally. I didn't let on that I was investigating. I was terrified of what I might find, but I was also terrified of being wrong. What if I was just paranoid? What if there was a legitimate explanation for everything? When Patricia called me to come to her office, I knew something significant had been found. She laid out her findings methodically and with precision. Over the past 3 years, Marcus had been transferring money from the firm's accounts to external accounts that he controlled. The transfers were disguised as consulting expenses, contractor fees, and equipment purchases. The total amount he'd taken was $412,000. I felt the room spin. $412,000. That was nearly $500,000. That was embezzlement. That was theft. That was my brother stealing from our family. But there was more. Patricia had traced the money further. She discovered that Marcus had opened accounts under business names that didn't exist. He'd created fictitious consulting companies. He'd generated fake invoices. He'd systematically stolen money from our firm and hidden it through a web of false documentation. "This is sophisticated," Patricia said quietly. He knew what he was doing. This wasn't a mistake or poor judgment. This was intentional, deliberate theft. I asked Patricia the question I was most afraid to ask. Is there enough evidence to prosecute? "Yes," she said. "Absolutely. This is clear wire fraud, embezzlement, and identity fraud on the accounts he opened. You have a case." I left Patricia's office with copies of her complete audit report, and I drove around the city for 2 hours, unable to go home, unable to process what I'd learned. My brother had stolen from our family, from our father's legacy, from the business we all built together. He'd done it deliberately. He'd done it systematically, and he'd lied about it repeatedly. I needed to tell my family, but I was terrified. I knew how this would blow up. I knew the chaos this would create. I knew that nothing would ever be the same. But I also knew I couldn't keep this secret. I called an emergency family meeting. I told my father, Jennifer, and Marcus that we needed to meet at the office on a Saturday when no employees would be there. I didn't say why. I just said it was important. When we were all in the conference room, I laid out Patricia's findings. I showed them the audit. I explained the consulting expenses. I showed them the accounts. I showed them the transfers. I showed them everything. The silence in that room was absolute. My father's face went white. He looked like he'd been physically struck. Jennifer gasped. And Marcus's face went red. "This is a mistake," Marcus said immediately. His voice was sharp. "That audit is wrong. Those expenses are legitimate. Those are real consulting services." "Then explain them," I said calmly. "Explain what consulting services cost $50,000 a quarter. Provide the contracts. Provide the work product. Provide the documentation." "I don't need to explain anything to you," Marcus said. He stood up. "You're not my boss. You're not in charge of the firm. You're just the lawyer. And frankly, you've always been jealous of me. You've always tried to tear me down." That accusation landed like a punch. "I'm not jealous of you," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm protecting the firm, and I'm protecting our family." "You're destroying our family," Marcus said. "You're taking some accounting irregularities and turning them into accusations. This is betrayal. This is you choosing to believe some outside accountant over your own brother." "These aren't irregularities," I said. "These are transfers of $412,000 in stolen money." "I didn't steal anything," Marcus said. His voice was cold now, calculating. And if you pursue this, if you go to the authorities, I will make sure everyone knows that you're the one who stole from the firm. I have documentation. I have evidence. I have witnesses who will testify that you've been embezzling for years." My father stood up. "Marcus, what are you talking about?" "Victoria has been taking money," Marcus said, turning to my father, "using her position as general counsel to authorize payments to herself. I've been documenting it. I was going to bring it to you privately, but since she wants to make accusations, I think it's time everyone knew the truth." I felt the ground shift beneath me. He was lying. Completely, deliberately lying. But the conviction in his voice made it sound real. "That's not true," I said. "And you know it. Patricia's audit is clear. The money came from accounts you controlled. The documentation is falsified. The consulting companies don't exist." "Of course they don't exist," Marcus said, "because Victoria created them. She created fake companies, transferred money to them, and then consolidated the money into offshore accounts. I have the proof. I have emails." He was gaslighting me. Right in front of my father and sister, he was turning the accusation around and making me the villain. "Show us," my father said. His voice was shaking. "Show us these emails right now." Marcus pulled out his laptop. He opened his email. And then he started showing us correspondence that I'd never seen before. Emails allegedly from me to consulting companies. Requests for invoices. Communications about payments. It all looked real. It all looked legitimate. Except I'd never written any of those emails. "These are forged," I said. "He created these. He fabricated them." "That's a serious accusation," Marcus said. "Accusing me of forging emails is a serious accusation, Victoria. Are you sure you want to go down this road?" And in that moment, I realized what he'd done. He'd anticipated that I might investigate him, so he'd created false evidence against me. He'd built a counter-narrative. He'd prepared a defense that turned me into the criminal. My father looked devastated. "Victoria, are these emails real?" "No," I said. "I didn't write them, I didn't send them. He forged them." "I have them," Marcus said. "They're in my email system. They're time-stamped. And I have testimony from the consulting companies about receiving work requests from you." "The consulting companies don't exist," I said. "They're fake. He created them. He forged the emails." "If that were true," Marcus said calmly, "then you could prove it. You could show that I created them. But you can't, because you did." It was brilliant and terrible. It was a perfect trap. He'd stolen from the firm, and when I discovered it, he'd turned the accusation around so that now I looked like the criminal. My father stood up and walked out of the conference room. Jennifer looked at me with uncertainty in her eyes. And Marcus sat back in his chair with a satisfied expression on his face. Over the next week, Marcus executed his plan with precision. He went to my father privately and showed him the forged emails. He told him that he'd been trying to protect the family, but that he couldn't keep quiet about my theft any longer. He said that I'd used my position as general counsel to steal from the firm and that he had documentation. He went to Jennifer and told her the same story. He showed her the forged emails. He said he was heartbroken about it, but that he couldn't let me continue stealing. He went to the senior staff at the firm and hinted that there were financial irregularities and that the issue was being addressed by leadership. And then he sent me an email, a professional email, copied to my father and Jennifer. In it, he stated that he'd discovered evidence of unauthorized transfers and fraudulent documentation in my name. He said he was requesting a full external audit. He said that until the matter was resolved, he recommended that I be placed on administrative leave. He was putting me on leave. He was suspending me from the firm I'd helped rebuild. My father called me that evening. "We need to talk," he said. His voice was cold. I'd never heard my father sound cold to me before. "I know," I said, Marcus showed you the forged emails." "He didn't forge them," my father said. "They're in your email account, Victoria. They're time-stamped. They're real." "They're not real," I said. "He created them. He's framing me because I discovered that he stole $412,000 from the firm. He's turning the tables to make me look like the criminal." There was a long silence. "I don't know what to believe," my father said finally. "But I can't have this kind of accusation hanging over the firm. I'm asking you to take a leave of absence while we sort this out, with pay, but you need to step back." "Dad, no," I said. "If I step back, it looks like I'm guilty. It looks like I'm admitting to something I didn't do." "Then how do we resolve this?" my father asked. His voice was tired. He sounded old suddenly. "How do we figure out what's true?" "We hire an independent investigator," I said. "We bring in someone completely neutral. We let them examine everything. The forensic audit that Patricia did, the emails, everything. And we let them tell us what really happened." My father agreed. He hired a forensic IT specialist named David Rothstein to examine the emails and determine their authenticity. In the meantime, I was on administrative leave. I couldn't go to the office. I couldn't access the systems. I couldn't communicate with my colleagues. I was officially suspended from the firm I'd helped build. And around the office, rumors started spreading. People had heard that the general counsel had been accused of embezzlement. People assumed I was guilty. Why else would I have been suspended? Marcus, meanwhile, was acting CEO in my absence. He was making decisions about the firm. He was managing the narrative. He was positioning himself as the hero who discovered the corruption and acted to protect the company. I was sitting at home, unable to work, watching my reputation be destroyed. David Rothstein's investigation took 3 weeks. During those 3 weeks, I was a prisoner in my own life. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat properly. My sister didn't return my calls. My father had shut me out. The only person who believed me was Jennifer, and even she seemed uncertain. When David completed his investigation, he requested a meeting with my father, Marcus, Jennifer, and me in a lawyer's office. My father had hired an attorney named Susan Matthews to oversee the situation. Susan represented the firm's interests, not any individual's interests. We all sat in the conference room. David Rothstein had a laptop and a presentation prepared. "I've completed my analysis," David said. "I've examined every email that Mr. Marcus Ashford claims Victoria sent. I've conducted forensic analysis on her email account. I've examined the metadata. I've traced the digital footprints." He pulled up the first set of emails. "These emails," he said, pointing to the forged emails Marcus had shown us, "were not created by Victoria. They were created by someone else and inserted into the email system retroactively. The metadata shows they were created from a different computer than Victoria typically uses. The timestamps are falsified. And most importantly, there are digital traces showing that Marcus's email account was used to create them." My father leaned forward. "Are you saying Marcus forged these emails?" "Yes," David said. "I am saying that definitively. These emails are fabrications. They were created by Marcus Ashford using his own computer on specific dates that I can document. He then planted them in Victoria's email account to make it appear as though Victoria had created them." The color drained from Marcus's face. David continued. "Furthermore, I've examined the consulting company accounts. They were registered to business names that don't exist. The invoices were created using templates from Marcus's computer. The payments were transferred to accounts controlled by Marcus using his banking credentials." He showed the complete chain of evidence. Every transfer, every forged document, every fake consulting company, all of it traced back to Marcus. "In conclusion," David said, The evidence overwhelmingly shows that Marcus embezzled approximately $412,000 from Ashford and Associates over a 3-year period. And when Victoria discovered the embezzlement, he fabricated evidence against her to deflect suspicion from himself. The silence in the room was deafening. My father looked at Marcus. "Is this true?" Marcus didn't answer. He just stared at the table. "Marcus," my father said, his voice breaking, "is this true?" "I took some money," Marcus said quietly, "but I was going to pay it back. I was having financial problems. I needed help. And Victoria was going to ruin everything by going to the authorities." "So you lied," my father said. "You lied about Victoria. You forged evidence against your own sister." "I was protecting myself," Marcus said. He looked up, and I saw something in his eyes that I'd never seen before: desperation, and a complete lack of remorse. "I was protecting my family from scandal. Do you understand what would happen if this came out? If the world knew that the managing partner of Ashford and Associates had been embezzling? The firm would collapse. Our reputation would be destroyed. Everything we built would be gone." "So instead you destroyed your sister," Jennifer said quietly. "You turned us all against her. You made her look like a criminal." "I did what I had to do," Marcus said, and the coldness in his voice was shocking. My father stood up. "I want you to resign from the firm immediately. I want you to pay back every cent you stole, and I want you out of my house by the end of the week." "Dad," Marcus said, his voice pleading now. "Come on, we can work this out. She's my sister. She's your son. Don't throw me away." "I'm not throwing you away," my father said. "You threw yourself away the moment you decided to steal from the family. You finished it the moment you decided to lie about Victoria." We met one more time, just the two of us. I requested it, and surprisingly, Marcus agreed. We sat in a coffee shop near the office, neutral territory, public place, safe. Marcus looked diminished somehow. The confident, golden child persona was gone. He looked scared. "Why did you do it?" I asked him. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just exhausted and sad. "Because I was drowning," Marcus said. "Financially, my marriage was falling apart. My wife wanted a divorce. I had debts I couldn't pay. I was terrified of losing everything. And I saw the firm's money as available, as a way out." "You could have asked," I said. "You could have told Dad. You could have asked for a loan. You could have been honest." "And admit I was failing," Marcus said. "Admit that the golden child wasn't so golden. I couldn't do that. My whole identity was built on being successful, being competent, being the one who had it all figured out. If I admitted I was struggling, it would all fall apart." "So you lied," I said. "You stole. And when I discovered it, you tried to destroy me instead of taking responsibility." "I panicked," Marcus said. "When you told me about the audit, when you presented the evidence, I panicked. And I thought if I could turn it around, if I could make you look guilty instead of me, then I could survive it." "By forging emails," I said. "By fabricating evidence against your own sister." "Yes," Marcus said. He looked at me directly. "I did that. And I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry, Victoria, but I'm also bankrupt. I'm also facing criminal charges. I'm also losing my family, my career, everything. So my apology doesn't change anything for you, but I need you to know that I'm sorry." I wanted to feel something. I wanted to feel vindicated or angry or satisfied. But mostly I just felt sad. "You could have told me," I said. "You could have asked for help. Instead, you lied to everyone. You stole. You tried to destroy my reputation. And now you're saying sorry. But sorry doesn't undo any of it." "I know," Marcus said. We didn't say anything else. I got up and left. I never spoke to him again. The legal process that followed was thorough and brutal. Marcus was charged with embezzlement, wire fraud, and identity fraud. He hired an attorney. He negotiated a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of wire fraud. He was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. He was ordered to pay restitution of $412,000 plus interest, which he'll be paying for the rest of his life. Our family had to make a decision about the firm. My father wanted to know if I would stay on as general counsel and managing partner. For a moment, I considered walking away. I was damaged. My reputation had been attacked. My trust had been violated. Why would I want to stay? But then I realized something. If I left, it would look like I was running. It would look like I was guilty, even though I'd been completely exonerated. And more importantly, I loved the firm. I loved the work. I wasn't going to let my brother's betrayal take that away from me. So I stayed. I became the managing partner of Ashford and Associates. My father officially retired, though he remained as chairman emeritus. Jennifer moved into a larger role in business development, and we rebuilt. The public story that we released was careful and measured. We said that there had been financial irregularities that were discovered and addressed internally. We said that the matter had been investigated thoroughly. We said that the firm was stronger than ever. We didn't mention Marcus by name. We didn't go into details about his crimes, but we also didn't hide from the reality of what had happened. Some clients left. Some people questioned our stability. But most people understood that every company is vulnerable to internal theft if someone is determined enough. What mattered was how we responded. And we responded with transparency, accountability, and action. The firm recovered. It took about a year, but we rebuilt client relationships. We stabilized finances. We brought in new business. And slowly, the shadow of Marcus's betrayal began to fade. But it didn't disappear completely. It changed the culture of the firm. We implemented new financial controls. We brought in regular external audits. We created checks and balances that we didn't have before. We became more professional and more cautious. Some of that was good. Some of it was the loss of the family-focused atmosphere we'd had before. The harder part than rebuilding the firm was rebuilding my family. My father struggled with what Marcus had done. He'd built the firm with the intention of creating a legacy for his children. When Marcus betrayed that trust, it felt like a personal rejection. For a long time, my father was distant with me, even though intellectually he knew I wasn't the guilty one. I had to be the one to reach out repeatedly. I had to be the one to say, "Dad, I understand you're hurt. I understand you feel betrayed. I'm hurt too. But we have to move forward." It took months for us to fully repair that relationship. And even now, there's a scar there. We don't talk about it often, but we both know it happened. Jennifer and I grew closer through the whole ordeal. She'd been put in a terrible position, a sister accused of crimes, a brother revealed as a criminal. She'd had to navigate the middle ground, and she'd stood by me when it mattered. That bond is stronger now. As for Marcus, I haven't seen him since our coffee shop conversation. He went to prison. He's now out on supervised release. I heard through family connections that he got divorced, that he's living quietly somewhere, that he's trying to rebuild his life. Part of me hopes he's genuinely changed. Part of me doesn't care. But I've had to forgive him, not for his sake, for mine. Carrying anger at Marcus was like carrying poison. It was destroying me more than it was hurting him. So I made a conscious decision to let it go. I forgave him not because what he did was forgivable, but because I couldn't carry the weight of it anymore. Today, I'm 5 years further from that moment, when David Rothstein revealed the truth about Marcus's embezzlement and his lies. I'm the managing partner of Ashford and Associates. We're thriving. Our revenue is stronger than it's ever been. Our client relationships are solid. We've expanded our team. We've opened a second office. We're building something that will last. But the most important thing I've gained isn't professional success. It's clarity about who I am and what I value. I learned that family loyalty is not the same as enabling dishonesty. I learned that protecting someone you love sometimes means holding them accountable, even when it's painful. I learned that your reputation is worth fighting for, and that sometimes the fight requires you to tell hard truths. I learned that people you trust can betray you, and that's not a reflection on your judgment. It's a reflection on their character. I learned that the cost of speaking up is always less than the cost of staying silent. Yes, speaking up about Marcus's crimes cost me my relationship with him. It cost me some uncertainty about my father's support. It cost me time and energy and emotional pain. But staying silent would have cost me my integrity. And that's not a price I was willing to pay. Most importantly, I learned that I'm stronger than I knew I was. When Marcus accused me falsely, when my family started questioning me, when my reputation was under attack, in that moment I could have fallen apart. I could have chosen the easier path. I could have accepted the lies and just walked away. But I didn't. I stood firm. I found the evidence. I demanded the truth. And I fought for my own exoneration. That strength didn't come from nowhere. It came from knowing who I am. It came from being clear about my values. It came from refusing to accept a false narrative about myself, even when people I loved were accepting it. To anyone watching this who's been accused falsely, who's been betrayed by someone close to them, who's watched their reputation be attacked, I want to say this. The truth matters. The truth takes time to emerge. The truth might not be believed at first, but the truth is powerful. And if you stand firm in your truth, if you gather evidence, if you refuse to accept lies about yourself, the truth will eventually win. I don't regret reporting my brother. I don't regret standing up for myself. I don't regret demanding accountability. Even though it cost me a relationship with my brother, even though it complicated my relationship with my father, even though it was painful and difficult and hard, I don't regret it. Because integrity matters more than comfort. Truth matters more than peace. And your own self-respect matters more than protecting someone else's lies. My brother tried to destroy my reputation. He failed. Not because I'm exceptional or powerful or special. He failed because I refused to let the lie be true. I refused to accept a false version of myself. I refused to be a victim of his narrative. And that's what I want you to know. You have the power to refuse the lies. You have the power to fight for your own truth. You have the power to rebuild your reputation, even after it's been attacked. It's not easy, but it's possible, and you're stronger than you think. My name is Victoria Ashford, and this is my story.